film The Golden Compass begins with Lyra Belacqua, a young girl who is an orphan residing at Jordan College in an alternate universe of Oxford. In this world, every individual is accompanied by a demon, which is a physical manifestation of their soul in the form of an animal. As Lyra is still young, her demon, Pantalaimon, often referred to as Pan, has the ability to shape-shift into any animal he desires, with his most common form being that of an ermine. However, as people age, their demons settle into one specific shape and no longer change. Following that, Lyra becomes privy to a conversation between the master of Jordan College and Fra Pavel, who is a representative of a powerful and ominous religious group known as the Magisterium. They talk about a journey to the far north led by Lyra's uncle, Lord Asriel. Lord Asriel wants to investigate a strange substance called dust that seems to be coming from other universes. Fra Pavel tries to convince the master to not support Lord Asriel's trip, but the master declines. So, when left alone, Fra Pavel decides to sabotage Lord Asriel's plans by putting poison in a special decanter of take wine meant for him. Lord Asriel arrives shortly thereafter, accompanied by his snow leopard demon, and pours himself a glass of the poisoned wine. Lyra, who had been hiding, jumps out and stops him from drinking it by smashing the glass to the floor. Lord Asriel then sends her back to spy on the meeting that is about to take place. The master and the fellows of Jordan College, as well as Fra Pavel, gathered to hear about Lord Asriel's proposed expedition and research on dust. They ultimately agree to fund it, as Lord Asriel believes that dust is linked to traveling between parallel universes. Pavel, however, warns that talk of dust is considered blasphemy. Before we even meet Lyra, there have been reports of boys and girls disappearing from the streets. These kidnappings are blamed on a group known as the Gobblers. Lyra and her friend Roger make a promise to each other that if either of them is ever taken, the other will come to their rescue. Sadly, that promise is put to the test when Roger and another friend are taken by the Gobblers on the same night that Lyra is introduced to Mrs. Coulter at a dinner hosted by the master of Jordan College. Lyra is seated directly across from the master and is amazed by Mrs. Coulter when she enters the room with her golden monkey demon. The master and all the scholars in attendance seem to be in awe of her and her impressive presence. Mrs. Coulter takes a seat next to Lyra and expresses her own interest in traveling to the north, inviting Lyra to come along as her assistant. Due to Mrs. Coulter's significant influence in high places, the master is effectively forced to agree. The next morning, just before Lyra sets out on her journey with Mrs. Coulter, the master of Jordan College pays her a visit in her room. He brings with him a special golden instrument known as an alethiometer, or golden compass. He explains to Lyra that this device has the power to tell the truth, but he can't go into much detail about how it works. He warns Lyra to keep the alethiometer a secret and not to let Mrs. Coulter know that she has it. The master believes that the alethiometer is a valuable tool that could be dangerous in the wrong hands, so he urges Lyra to be careful and to use it wisely. Lyra spends a significant amount of time in the company of Mrs. Coulter, who takes her on shopping trips to buy new clothes and to dine at fancy restaurants. Throughout all of this, Lyra keeps the alethiometer close by in a shoulder bag. One day, Mrs. Coulter instructs Lyra to stop wearing the shoulder bag, but when Lyra expresses hesitation, Mrs. Coulter's demon, the golden monkey, physically attacks Pantalaimon. Lyra runs to her room, filled with hatred for Mrs. Coulter, and hides the alethiometer. She then decides to explore Mrs. Coulter's private study, where Pantalaimon discovers papers that reveal Mrs. Coulter's involvement with the General Oblation Board, an arm of the Magisterium. The papers also show that the General Oblation Board is using children to study something known as intercision, and that Billy Costa and Roger the kitchen boy are on a list of children who have been taken. As Lyra is discovering all of this, she catches Mrs. Coulter's golden monkey attempting to steal the alethiometer. Pantalaimon quickly transforms into a bird, snatches the alethiometer back, and the two escape through an upstairs window. They are pursued and captured by the Gobblers, but are soon rescued by a group of fierce yet friendly Egyptians who have been keeping an eye on Lyra at the request of Lord Asriel. One of the rescuers is Ma Costa, Billy's mother. In her journey with the Egyptians, Lyra meets John Fa, the leader of the Egyptians, and his advisor, Farder Korim. She starts to learn how to ask questions with the alethiometer and understand its answers. She also encounters Serafina Piccola, the Queen of Witches, who informs her about a prophecy about her role in the fate of the world and the missing children who are being held captive in Balvanger, Norway. Serafina also tells her that she will receive help in Trolleson, a town located on the coast of Norway. On the other hand, Mrs. Coulter sends out 2 mechanical spy flies to locate Lyra. The Egyptians manage to capture one of the spy flies and seal it up, as its sting contains a sleeping potion. Although the other spy fly manages to escape, it is unclear whether it provides any benefit to Mrs. Coulter. When Lyra and her companions reach Trolleson, she meets Lee Scoresby, a Texan aeronaut who offers to help her. But before he can do so, he wants to help a friend who is in trouble. The friend is Eirik Bjarnason, a Panzerbjorn, one of the great armored ice bears from Svalbard. Unfortunately, Eirik was exiled from his home after losing a fight and is now trapped in Trolleson, working as a mechanic and metalsmith for whiskey. Lyra uses her golden compass, the alethiometer, to find out what's happened to Eirik and discovers that he was betrayed and defeated by the current king of Svalbard, Ragnar. With the help of Lee Scoresby and the Egyptians, Eirik is able to reclaim his armor and promises to help Lyra in her quest to find the missing children. With Eirik by her side, the group sets off towards the heart of Norway and the place where the children are being held, Balvanger. When they camp for the night, Lyra starts to think deeply about the answers she received from the alethiometer. She feels that she needs to know more about the truth, so she goes to find Eirik Bjarnason. Lyra asks him to take her to a valley not far from the campsite. When they arrive, Lyra discovers that Billy Costa is there and in a terrible state. He is weak and in immense pain because he has been separated from his demon. This is a fate that is too unbearable to imagine. Lyra finally understands what intercision means, and it is the most horrific thing she has ever heard of. The thought of it alone makes her and Pantalaimon feel sick. Lyra and Eirik Bjarnason take Billy Costa back to the camp of the Egyptians, but their peaceful night is interrupted by the attack of the Samoyed people. They capture Lyra and take her to Svalbard as an offering to the armored bears. Having learned that King Ragnar desires to have a demon of his own, Lyra comes up with a plan to use this to her advantage. She asks Pan to hide and introduces herself to Ragnar as Eirik's demon. As expected, this stirs up jealousy in Ragnar, and he agrees to fight Eirik in a one-on-one combat to win Lyra as his demon. Eirik, who has been waiting for an opportunity to reclaim his throne, eagerly joins the fight. However, Lyra is initially concerned about Eirik's ability to fight after all the running, but Eirik surprises her with his enthusiasm and determination. Eirik defeats Ragnar, and Lyra earns the nickname Lyra Silvertongue for her clever plan. The final battle between Eirik Bjarnason and King Ragnar takes place, with Eirik showing his strength and cunning. He pretends to be injured, only to strike a powerful blow that kills Ragnar. With this victory, Eirik reclaims his rightful position as the king of the ice bears, but he is not content to stay behind in his kingdom. He feels a sense of duty towards Lyra and sets out to help her on her mission. He escorts her most of the way to the experimental station at Balvang, where the children are being held captive. Unfortunately, they come across a dangerous crevasse, and Eirik must leave Lyra's side to go and get help. Inside the experimental station, Lyra asks her friend Roger to prepare the other children for an escape plan. Roger leads her to a private room where she can use the alethiometer, but they soon hide under the table as the staff and Mrs. Coulter enter. Unfortunately, Lyra gives away her hiding spot when her foot slips. She and her demon Pan are then taken by the staff and put into a machine called the intercision device, which is used to separate children from their demon. Just as the process is about to be completed, Mrs. Coulter, who appears frightened, rushes in and halts the procedure. Lyra and Pan woke up relieved that they are still together, and that the procedure to separate them had not been completed. Mrs. Coulter tried to comfort Lyra, but she was hesitant to trust her. Lyra asked Mrs. Coulter why they were trying to separate children from their demons, and Mrs. Coulter revealed that it was to prevent people from being contaminated by dust, which she equated with original sin. Mrs. Coulter explained that the dust entered the world when people disobeyed the authority. Children are immune from dust, but it affects adults through their demons. The goal of the intercision research was to stop people from ever being affected by dust. Mrs. Coulter emphasized that the procedure was not painful, simply a little cut. However, earlier in the movie, the high officials of the Magisterium were disturbed about Jordan College's support of Lord Asriel, and they hoped that intercision would mold a population that never questioned the Magisterium's authority. Lyra is quick to question why Mrs. Coulter stopped the procedure of separating her and Pan if it's supposed to be good. Mrs. Coulter confesses that the process isn't perfected yet. Upon Mrs. Coulter mentioning taking Lyra home, Lyra fiercely states that Jordan College is her true home. Mrs. Coulter then reveals that she is Lyra's mother, but Lyra refuses to accept this relationship. When Mrs. Coulter requests the alethiometer, Lyra appears to comply, but instead hands her a tin container containing a spy fly. The sting from the fly knocks Mrs. Coulter and her demon unconscious. Lyra uses this opportunity to escape with the other children, taking a moment to destroy the intercision machine in a satisfying explosion. The kids, along with Lyra, are now free from the clutches of the experimental station, but they face a new challenge. The guards are on their tail and are determined to stop the kids from escaping. Irek Bionison, a powerful armored bear, comes to their rescue and engages in a fierce battle with the guards. However, he is almost overpowered when Lee Scoresby, the witches led by Serafina Piccola, and the Egyptians arrive just in time to turn the tide of the fight. The battle is intense, and every time someone is killed, their demon vanishes into a whirlwind of dust. With the help of her friends, Lyra and the kids manage to come out victorious. Lyra, Irek Bionison, and Lee Scoresby embark on a journey to rescue Lord Asriel, who is being held captive by the Samoite people. Roger also joins them on their mission. Mrs. Coulter, who discovered that Lord Asriel has bribed his captors and is now continuing his research on dust, sets off to stop him. In the last scene, Lyra and Roger cozy up with Irek Bionison in the back of Lee Scoresby's flying machine as they head towards the north. That's it for today's episode. The Golden Compass is a must-see for all fans of action-packed fantasy adventures. With a strong heroine, incredible world building, and a captivating storyline, this movie is sure to leave a lasting impression. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure to check it out. Thanks for joining us today, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more great content like this.